Okay, guys, it's Michael Choi from Yorba California, and I got a couple of requests on Facebook and in person to do a tutorial. Oh, shoot. On the lesson. Hold up. Sorry. Um, we're gonna be doing today, and we're doing iCT lesson 16. Yeah, 16. And first, you gotta download your numbers.txt, and let's get started. I've been thinking about this. I don't think I'm going to be explaining how to do mode because there's a lot of ways to do it. And if I give you one way, I have a feeling that people are going to just copy that one. And while we're on that subject, if you guys are just curious, the reason why I haven't been doing as many tutorials lately, it's because on YouTube, I can check in the public static waiting. Okay, so I can check how far you guys have watched, and my recent tutorials, they've been getting shorter and shorter. Like, what I mean by that is people have been just skipping to the end just to copy my code, and then like less people have been watching the whole tutorial to get the explanation. So, you guys were wondering, that's why. So hopefully this one's a little bit better, or I don't know, I might not just do them or something. Anyways, just make your standard public class blah blah blah, and then let's create our constructor. Statistics. Okay. So what is it asking us? It's saying your instructor will provide you with a text file, numbers.txt, blah blah blah, and it's gonna say, okay, it has 1,000 numbers, okay, or less than 1,000 numbers, okay. We have to find the average, the standard deviation, and the mode. And the way we're gonna find the mode. Oh shoot, this is loud. All right. The way we're gonna find the average and the standard deviation, I'll tell you guys, and then the mode, I'll give you the idea for it. Okay. And then, but first we need to open that file, right? So, okay, let's create a file name. Let's just call it file1, and it's gonna use the statistics class to analyze the piece of file, and it'll give us specific things about it, right? So let's create that object with new statistics, and then what we're gonna have in the arguments is the file name, okay? So numbers.txt, right? Okay, and so since it's receiving a string in its constructor, it has to receive it here. So string, and let's call this variable file name. Okay. So what we're gonna do with this is we have to put it into like this, like just like lesson 13. Try to review lesson 13 because I went over this already, so I'm not gonna go too much into it. We're gonna create a scanner in equals new scanner, right? Or actually, let's just put this all in line. Equals new scanner, and what we're gonna put in is the file, right? And if you guys really don't remember any of this, just look at lesson 13. It's right there. Hold up, this song sucks. Okay. Sorry. So anyways, we have to put this all in a try catch because you can get an IO exception. And while we're on that, let's import both of those, the IO exception and the scanner. Import Java, I think it's util, yeah, util scanner, Java IO, and we're gonna import the file. And we're also going to import the file exception. Dot IOX, is that capitalized? Yeah, I think so. Okay. So if you guys don't remember how we did this, we said, okay, we're gonna go through each piece of data. So like it gives you something like let's say like the list of data was like something like this. Okay. The way we're gonna analyze this is say, okay, do we have data right now? Okay, yes we do. Okay, read that line and then go to the next one. Do we have data? Yes. Read that line, go to the next one, blah blah blah. Then let's say we're here. Read that data. Okay, pull that integer out, go to the next line. Read the data, pull that integer out, go to the next line. Oh wait, there's no next line, so we're done, right? So the way we're gonna write that is while in dot has next and what we're gonna do is we're gonna store the number, which is in dot next int, into an array. Okay, so let's start creating our array. Okay, so this is what our array is gonna be. And I'll cover this really quickly, or I'll cover this more in depth in a second, but let's just write our array. So our array is going to be private because we don't want people messing with it. And int 1000. If you guys reviewed the lesson, this should make sense. But basically, what we're doing is we're saying, okay, private, obviously, so nobody can access it. Integer brackets, it means it can hold a set of integers. So like, there's a bunch of boxes that have the name my number and like 1000 from numbers 1 through 1000, and each like box, or so-called, you could say, can hold one value, right? So our array thing is going to be my number, and then what's inside the bracket is what we refer to as like the element like indicator. Okay, so like this is our like element indicator. But the way we're going to fill up the array with the data from the file is, okay, so we understand that while in has next goes through the entire file, and then in.nextInt pulls the data out. And then it's basically, you have the box and you have to put the integer into the box, right? Or the array. But we have to indicate which box to put it in, because this array has 1000 boxes basically, and we don't know which one. So what we're gonna do is declare a variable called count, and for purposes right now, we're gonna put this as a global variable, okay? And it's gonna be called count, yeah. And then count goes here. Count plus plus. So what we're saying right here is, okay, do you have a next line? Do you have more information? Okay, yes. If you do, then put that number into the corresponding box for the integer, for the array, and then go to the next box to prepare putting that number into the next box, right? So that's what count refers to. Okay, it's indicating which element of the array it is. Hopefully that makes sense. And next, we have to catch an IO exception, and let's call it E. IO exception. Okay, I feel like this E is not supposed. Oh no, it is. E system dot out dot println e.get message. So this will just print out if we made an input error for the file name. Okay, cool. So what this does is basically store our information into an array so it's more accessible to our other methods. Okay, so let's start with our average. Okay, public get average. Oh wait, our return type is double because the average is usually not an integer. Okay. Okay. So how do we get an average? An average is equal to the sum of values set values all divided by No, that's modulus. All divided by the amount of values. Okay, that's gonna be our basic rubric. Okay, and then we're gonna return our average. Okay, and then okay, so this is our pseudocode right now, and then what our actual average is going to be is we're going to declare some values. So we need a sum and the amount of values. Okay. So our sum, okay, is originally set to 0 because it's what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the entire array and keep adding each number to the sum. So at the end of the array, we have the sum of everything, right? And then if you guys recall, the amount of values we have is count, because count counts the amount of lines it has, and the amount of lines is also the amount of elements, which is also the amount of values. Okay, so the amount of values is technically count, and that's the reason why we put count as a global variable, so this way it can be accessed into get average. Okay, I would really strongly suggest watching this video if you guys don't understand particular parts, because it's just going to get more complicated from here on out. So this is just sum, and then average, we can just replace this into here, right? And we can just delete average, right? So technically we have this. Now we have to write the for loop. So for the whole array, add up values. Add up all the values to the sum. Okay. So when it goes through each array, or when it goes through each element of the array, each element acts like it's its own like double, or it's its own variable. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say sum plus the value of the array, the specific array value. Okay. But so how do we go through the entire array? Well, that's pretty simple. What we're gonna do is we're gonna say integer array element, and then remember arrays start at 0, right? So that's why we're setting it to 0 for array element, as long as array element is less than the amount of values we have, which is our count, if you guys recall. Then go by increments of 1, and that's going to be count, array element plus plus. Okay, so it's saying for the array element, let's start at 0, go to the maximum amount of array elements, and then add 1 element each time. Okay, and now we can correspond the array to specific elements of the array. Hold up. Okay. So sum is equal to my number array element, and it's saying, okay, so from this set of data, pull out this specific number, but this specific number goes through the entire array, so it'll add up every single value of the array into the sum, and then after that it'll do the sum divided by count. Okay, and that's our average, and let's test it out right now. Hopefully I don't get any errors. For array element, blah blah blah, array not statement, okay, equals 0. Okay, cool beans. Alright, I forgot, you have to set it right here. So you have to say this is equal to 0, just declare it up here. And then let's say system.out.println. Oh, actually we should do printf, but whatever, you guys know how to do that. Average is plus file1 dot get average, and this you guys should know what's going on right now. 49 points. Yep, it's on the spot. Okay. Next, we're gonna do our standard deviation. public double get standard deviation. Okay. What we're gonna do is, okay, so let's recall how we figure out our standard deviation. Find the average of the list of numbers, okay? Okay, so it says find the average, okay? So we're gonna probably use the average. So let's say double average equals, okay, well, we don't need to calculate all this again because we already have a method. So let's just say get average, okay? The reason, okay, actually, no, never mind. And then it says, determine the difference between each number from the average and square the difference. Sum all the differences. So we're going to have another sum, right? And then it's going to be the sum of the differences from the average squared, okay? And that's a little bit complicated, so let's break this down. So let's say sum is equal to 0 for now, okay? And let's recall what it says to do. So for each number, okay, for each number from the average, so average minus each number, okay, gives us the difference, right? And then if you guys recall, these lines right here, we can just copy and paste because they go through the entire array of elements. It goes through each, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 999, and we can use it to direct our array to the correct element. And we're gonna say the sum is plus this, but remember, it's a little bit different. It said it's equal to the number minus the average squared, right? And how do we do squared? We're going to do math.pow. Math.pow average, okay? And this is the sum of our differences, okay? Ooh, actually, I kind of forgot how to do this. Let's see. Sum of all. Divide the sum by the differences. The sum of all differences by the number of values minus 1. So the number of values. What was that? Okay. Remember, up on this line, we did the count to figure out how many we had, and then we set that as a global variable so we could refer to it, and we're going to refer to it again. Here we're going to say, okay, well, so let's take this down. We're going to return a standard deviation. Hold up. Deviation, okay? And then what did it say standard deviation wants? Standard deviation. It's the sum divided by the amount of values minus 1, and it says square root it. Yeah, square root this entire division, right? So what we're gonna do by square rooting is, you can say math.square root, but I personally always like to use math.pow, and we're gonna say math.pow square root this thing right here, and this thing is the sum divided by the number of values minus 1, okay? And make sure you have all these brackets. They're really important, okay? And now let's start replacing this pseudocode with actual values. Well, amount of values is just count, and then sum is actually, we have that variable sum. That's the difference of the from the average squared, all added up, and then we just replace our standard deviation here into our standard deviation here, okay? So we can just copy and paste, and this should give us the correct result. Boop. And we should get 29.567, something like that. Oh, oops. Get standard deviation. Alright, 29.57. Okay, so we got the standard deviation, and the final thing is mode, okay? Mode is fairly difficult. in my opinion, for one particular reason. And that's because there can be multiple modes, okay? So let's figure out what, okay. So I'll write the pseudocode. Or actually, I feel that there's multiple methods, so I'm not even going to write the pseudocode. I'll just give you guys the idea. What the mode is the middle, is the most occurring number, okay? The way we're going to find the most occurring number is we're going to at least have to have a variable of occurrences. So okay, and if we're going to have occurrences of each number, notice I say each, not just one number, okay? That means this should be an array, okay? We're also going to, let's see. Oh man, I don't know how to explain this, but the way I did it was, okay, well, if I need to compare how many numbers I have is, well, I'm going to go through one loop that says, okay, go through each element of the array and check if that array is equal to any other elements by going through another for loop with the elements. So, alright, I'll just write the first part of the code for you then. For the array numbers, go through another array that's for the same array numbers. You have to obviously declare different variables for these arrays, like you know how we did like array element and stuff. You'd have to call it like array element second or something like that. But anyways, what we'll do here is say, okay, well, okay, it's gonna go through each element of the array. So let's go through the first number. Okay, the first number, we're gonna check every number, every value in the array, and we're gonna check if the number in first array is equal to number in second array. And if it is, then we're gonna say, oh, okay, well, if it is, then the amount of occurrences is increased by 1. Is plus plus. Okay, actually scratch this out. Occurrences. So we can, from this code right now, we can figure out the occurrences of a specific number, and we'd have to reset this occurrence to 0 every time we went to a new number, okay? So what this is saying is, okay, check the first number, okay? Set the occurrences of the first number to 0, and then go through the array all over again, and then check if the first number matches any of the other numbers in the array. And that's our second loop, okay? If the number in the what we have originally, like the first number, is equal to any of the numbers in our the same array, but like we go through it again, then the number of occurrences is increased by 1. Go through the next array, so the second number, and then go through another for loop that says if this second number is equal to any of the other numbers in the same array, then increase the occurrences by 1, okay? And what I'm going to tell you right now is you're going to have code right here that's going to check if the amount of occurrences is more or less than like the maximum amount of occurrences that's already occurred. And yeah, so honestly I would Google this, but I feel if I write this out, then you're gonna end up copying it, because that's happened to me, and Mr. Elliott like yelled at me. So yeah, anyways, that's the standard deviation and average, at least. And the mode is going to be a little bit difficult, but I think you guys can figure it out. And if you can't, just Google it or something. Sorry about that, but see you guys later.